Subscribe or you'll be visited by the toll troll. Will Chicago and Detroit ever matter again? The official Jogger Express. Who's proposing it? That seems like a regarded and pointless endeavor. At least no stop in Gary. Amarimuts that have never been in real developed country before suffer from an illness known as car brain. They believe cars, a commodity they spend most of their life in, somehow represents freedom. It's very sad. Chicago and Detroit were some of the most beautiful cities in the 1930s, now they are apocalyptic versions of their old selves. Sad. Yep, just stay away from Michigan, it is always winter and it is essentially a tundra, also it is all kinds of rednecks with guns and tons of nature. I mean, there is just no real city life except for Grand Rapids, which is basically Hitler country, and Detroit, which has too many POC. All I am saying is if there were any coasters here they should just find somewhere else to live. Wisconsin and Illinois agree. Maybe go to Ohio, I don't know. Detroit is in its post-apocalypse phase where the depopulation basically is becoming a benefit as most of the hood was torn down after 2008. I mean, yeah, there are hordes of giga gorillas roaming the streets hunting white bois to ravage and tie to the hoods of their cars like trophies. Yeah, it's basically Stalingrad, so just avoid it and go somewhere else, you white-skinned coaster. No, just like the United States won't ever matter again. North America is about to be as relevant on the world stage as Australia is. Metro Detroit Anon reporting in. It's actually so advanced on the decay timeline that many of the suburbs have turned into smaller cities. The area I live has some of the best schools in America and it's like 1% black. An awful lot of Indians suddenly though. Chicago and Detroit are basically more dangerous than Baghdad and Damascus, right? They could. But not with the Talmudists trying to kill you. Chicago remains pretty relevant. We basically set food prices for the entire world. Large swaths of the city do suck. But I don't really think people understand how geographically large the city is. Huge swaths are also fine, and unironically have some of the best urban living in the country. But coasties sleep on it because it's the Midwest, which is fine by me. This thread makes me question why I take financial advice from you. Regards. Detroit is safer than Chicago, honestly. Both are fun. I have mentioned this before, but this seems like the thread to mention it again. Chicago is really at a crossroads right now. No earthquakes. No hurricanes. No tornadoes. Climate is getting warmer every year. We'll never run out of water, see Arizona. Housing is still fairly affordable, see NYC, California. Extremely diverse economy not susceptible to bubbles, see tech hubs. At least $5 billion development projects going on right now. This is where it gets interesting though. South and west sides, where all of the crime is, are losing population very quickly, literally emptying out. White and young professional population is exploding, highest increase in 100K plus renting households in the entire country, in the last 10 years. Average income across the city is increasing rapidly. Those high-income renters are going to need homes in the coming years. So it depends on the next few years and where growth goes. First and foremost, get South/West Siders to either stop killing each other or move south, as they continue to do. Additionally, we have a mayoral election tomorrow between a pro-business pro-police candidate and an anti-growth pro-labor anti-police candidate. It is going to be very interesting to see how we vote in this coming election, as it will completely shape the next 30 to 40 years of growth, or lack thereof, in this city. Maybe. It's a good area to make Wakanda too. No way. Every northern city is quickly losing relevance. Southeastern America is where it's at. Chicago is one of the nastiest downtowns I have ever seen. Walked along the river walk and saw poop, puke, and needles. This was after leaving steakhouse that I spent $300 at IMO. Ann Arbor and the Oakland County suburbs will say absolutely effing the heck not. They want diversity, but only over there, by you. No, Mexico has killed Detroit and Canada. If you ain't hugging the Mexican border, you are effed. They will never reach their peak again, but they will stop declining eventually. The US population will hit 500 million in our lifetime. Global warming will make northern cities more attractive. Literally F the city of Chicago. Spent a good portion of my youth there. But this place is pure chaos nowadays. The brothers have taken over and there is no safe neighborhood. I'm getting the heck out. I'm from the Yak, AMA. Detroit would be great if there was lower property taxes and more whites with money. The schools are an embarrassment, highest property taxes in the country but worse city services. Plus the political machine is legendary. The only reason it's not completely effed is because when they went bankrupt, the Republican governor, who was this autistic accountant dude, basically took over the city and straightened everything out. They still vote for these insane Democrats regardless. I've been all over the city and I see these pictures and videos from a long time ago and it makes me kind of angry that I never got to see it like that. Now it looks like a nuke went off. Human turn any land into the land of milk and honey. Subhumans turn any land into desertic hellholes. Not only is it always nature, but even nurture itself is 100% nature. The environment is 100% genetic. 120 or something of the Fortune 500 are headquartered in Chicago. Why are Europoors such gypsies? They could just expand the already existing South Shore Chicago to Northern Indiana line east. It's a comfy train. Unique. Mostly commuters and tourists. Isn't cargo worth more than people these days? Especially those putts up there. And cold and filled with crime. F everything about that. Minneapolis. Who's seen the movie iRobot? If you know, you know. New Buffalo. How do Buffalo New Yorkers even deal? If there's an exodus from major cities on the eastern seaboard, they're going to be coming to Detroit or Chicago. Once the West runs out of water, people will flock to the Great Lakes. Might take a couple decades, but if I had the money, I'd unironically invest in Detroit properties along with every other good-sized city in Michigan. Bill Ford and Jim Farley want to move all the engineering and manufacturing jobs out of Michigan. This will have a devastating effect on the economy of Metro Detroit. Regarded idea invented by aging boomers who got convinced by some consultant to throw a couple G's at a preliminary concept. Why don't you use the heckin' Great Lakes? Looks like we're gonna have a good mayor after today. Turnout so far looks great for Vallis. No. LMFAO, now all of those towns will be F like all of the ones that have South Shore rail stops through them. Why are the Great Lakes off limits? Are they owned by some powerful boomer or banking firm? People were unironically saying Chicago was a buy and that Vallis would win last week. Get effed, let's go Brandon Johnson. Once upon a time it was the center of a city behemoth of the world's car industry and the city for logistics main hub of a superpower. Now it's Detroit and Chirac. Sad to think about, really sad. Chicago got a brand new major, looks like there's good hope for the city now. San Fran Transit, we refuse to release crime surveillance videos because it will make people racist. Releasing videos would create a racial bias in the riders against minorities on the trains. Yeah, it would, but it's gonna require it be run like how Chicago is run, basically like mobsters. I didn't think much Chicago before I started looking into it, and I have to say it really is a heckin' beautiful city, more so than places like LA or New York. I don't know much about Chicago, but the situation in Detroit isn't what most people think it is. A lot of the big business just moved out of the city and into suburbs. Manufacturing in Dearborn and Sterling Heights. Lots of business in Troy and Southfield. Many medium to small-sized businesses, including countless government contractors, strewn all over the metro area. A coworker of mine is moving to Detroit to open an Irish bar, and I'm half tempted to follow him because I'm beyond sick of Miami. How quickly am I going to get killed? Chicago just voted for more crime. So much for that bounce back. 11 stops between Chicago and Detroit. Dumb Amaramuts, the point of high-speed rail is that you get from A to B way faster than a car. At 200 miles per hour you could do it in 1.5 hours, but with 11 stops you're going to do it in 3 hours. Every stop takes 10 minutes to slow down, off-board/onboard, speed up. Regards. Detroit kind of. Factories are coming back and stuff. Chicago is a bit more complicated. After enough of them die it'll start to recover, but slowly. Very slowly.